This video is all about advanced statistics and movement techniques that you can perform as Saxton Hale. If you need more basic instruction, I've got videos for that, check the description. Let's get right into it. Super jump and weight down is a combination of abilities that on paper seems simple, but it opens up a lot of doors for quick movement that is unique to the mode. So there's three main uses for weight down. Crouching before or as you super jump results in a very quick, short jump, usable indoors or to close a small gap, or to just overall travel quicker than by foot. There's also crouching as you reach the peak of your jump, resulting in a long jump with a quick descent, allowing for you to line up slams or Goomba stomps easily. Or, instead, you can crouch throughout your super jump, holding or releasing as necessary in order to reach your destination with the least excess height. This method will allow you to land on ledges to quickly start your next jump. Using weight down is a great tool to travel around, but you may actually find yourself wasting a slam unintentionally. Slam and weight down can always be cancelled. So, if you don't want to use your slam, just cancel your weight down by releasing crouch right before hitting the ground, and you won't use up your ability. And I'm not quite sure if this is intentional, but typically your slam requires you to be above a certain height before it can be activated and deal damage. But in the event that you're standing on a ledge of some kind, you can perform an instant slam in place with a basic jump. Charge is another ability that can be combined with others to increase its effectiveness. Using your charge and then super jumping will greatly increase the distance traveled and the height gained. This is the single fastest way to go from one corner of the map to the other, making taking out snipers extremely easy. I feel the need to talk about holding your charge. While holding your charge may increase the distance traveled slightly, it is generally not worth the time unless it's to kill a sentry. Powering up your charge can have undesirable results. Overall, standing still or in a crowd is a bad idea. And even with the damage resistance provided while using the charge, it is generally more detrimental by allowing yourself to get shot at the entire time as you charge up your punch. The benefit for holding a charge is just a minor increase to the duration, not to the damage or the speed, when those are the only two stats that actually matter. Alternatively, if you don't really need distance, you can use a reverse method, super jumping and then using your charge to swap directions easily. Super jump typically is a little hard to control where you want to end up, and it's really good at going forwards, but if you want to stop going forwards, it's not always super responsive. This is where charge comes in. Holding your charge in reserve in order to have a backup plan if you overshoot or undershoot a jump is a great idea. And that's generally how I use charge, as a backup. Undershoot a jump, charge. Pyre giving you trouble, bait an air blast, then charge. Spotted a sniper, charge, then jump if necessary. It's your best option in most scenarios to have your charge available, especially if you're starting out and get trapped in a small room. You can practically always use your charge to escape. It can also be used to quickly swap directions, especially starting a jump then realizing that you've been juked or that there's a more important target to take out. Charge can also be used to line up a Goomba stomp on a specific target if necessary. It's sometimes a bit hard to pull off using the charge for this, but it can have some staggering results in the right hands. By now, you've probably noticed how much damage your special abilities deal, but have you considered using them in conjunction? With all the AoE damage that you can deal, it's fairly easy to take on the whole team of mercenaries at the same time. Now, normally I would recommend against this strategy, but at the moment, it's completely plausible. If you deal enough damage to a crowd, you'll typically take out at least one or two people and scare off the rest. Baiting a crowd into a relatively enclosed area with a high enough ceilings, pulling out your Saxton punch, followed by a slam and a charge to top it off, and you'll certainly remind those mercenaries that they're locked in with you, not the other way around. And even if the damage isn't enough to kill, you can easily counter a typical death ball strategy that the mercenaries take. Knocking melee users to half HP or below causes them to scatter like the little rats they are. Let's talk about the rest of Saxton's kit. There's a few more passive abilities that Hale gets. Interestingly enough, these are classified as generic in VScript code, meaning adding new bosses is on the radar for the mod makers. And also, this is officially in nerd shit territory, so if you don't really care about numbers, etc., here's a timestamp. Surprise, surprise, there are actually more passive abilities that I didn't mention in the other two videos. Hale actually has a total of, I think, 15 traits in his possession. 4 of which are what I would consider to be abilities: Super Jump, Slam and Weight Down, Saxton Punch, and Charge. These are all activated by using a certain key or are on a cooldown. Then there are 3 of what I call responsibilities. Abilities that are fairly hidden, but activate under certain conditions in response to something specific. Someone stacked on top of your target, AoE Punch. Landing on someone's head, Goomba Stomp. Or getting stunned and taking out enough damage for the Stun Breakout. These have all been previously mentioned. Then there are passive traits. These are all different passive tweaks to Hale that changes the gameplay. Permanently active or slow building stat changes, basically. I'll try to run through some of the smaller ones quickly as to not bore you. Hale caps 3 times faster. Hale can taunt kill with the default taunt, Flippin' Awesome, and Skullcracker. Hale can't heal from health kits, but he can still use them to cleanse fire and bleed. Hale takes no fall damage, meaning Goomba Stomps always do 195 damage, unlike the Man-Treads, which are based on your fall damage. Hale causes the screen to shake for nearby players, which you can actually use to pinpoint Hale from behind walls. Hale has a passive 50% reduction to mini-crit effect durations. Fan of War, normally lasting 15, only lasts 7.5 on Hale. And Girardi, normally lasting 8, only lasts 4. And here's where we get into the real important passives: move speed, damage scaling, and damage resistance. These are the big stat changes that actually matter. Hale's move speed increases as he loses HP, starting at 322 hammer units, the speed at which a medic and spy can travel at, and increases as he loses HP, eventually reaching a max of 520 hammer units, the same speed as a babyface's blaster scout on max boost, the typical speed cap of the game. Hale's max speed is reached at 25% health remaining. This is probably a good time to talk about Hale's HP, as it scales based on the amount of players that are on the server, ramping up in health gained per person as more players join. The method is a little convoluted, but here's a chart showing how much HP Hale can get based on the players. Hale has another big stat that's worth paying attention to: damage scaling. Hale will take more damage as the game goes on. The more players that are dead, the more damage he'll take, meaning players towards the end of the game will have an easier time clutching in a tight scenario, and staying alive longer is rewarded with more damage. And you may notice that sometimes you'll actually do less damage, and that's because of Hale's final stat: damage resistance. I can't quite find the numbers for this one, but maybe someone smarter than I or someone who can actually read code can explain this. But basically, Hale will take less damage when he's already taken a lot recently. Whenever Hale is taking a large burst of damage, some of it's reduced. Meaning, Sticky Trap's damage is reduced because on their own, they reach that damage threshold. But something like a Backstab or a Market Garden wouldn't reach it because it's all damage in one ability. And at the start of the game, Hale will take less damage because everyone's firing at him. And there are other scenarios where this can come into play, but these 2 are the most likely to encounter. And that's it as far as Hale's abilities go, to my knowledge at least. Leave a comment if I missed anything, or if you're curious about some of the stat changes. There's also a TF2 wiki page for the VScript official versus Saxton Hale mode. If you're interested in more Saxton gameplay, you can check out my streams. I'm live practically every day. You can also join the Discord if you'd like to see go live notifications. Have a good one. GG's. See ya.